Texas summer is its own circle of hell, even for me, who grew up in these parts. The thermometer had been showing over 100 degrees Fahrenheit for a week, and the office air conditioning was working at half power. I was sitting at my desk, top shirt buttons undone, when the phone rang. It was Emma, my mother-in-law. "Jack, honey, could you help me?" Her voice sounded unusually helpless. "My air conditioning broke down, and there's a 2-week wait at the service center." "Of course, Emma, I'll stop by after work." "Thank you, dear, you're my savior." I smiled. Emma had always treated me differently. When I first started dating Sarah, her daughter Emma was the first to welcome me into the family. I remember our first meeting. She opened the door in a light summer dress, and I momentarily lost my ability to speak. It was hard to believe that this bright, energetic woman was my girlfriend's mother. "Come in, handsome," she winked then. "Hope you like home cooking." 5 years had passed since then. Sarah and I got married, bought a house in the Austin suburbs, got a dog. Emma was widowed 2 years ago. Cancer took her husband in just a few months. She held up well, but I could see how lonely she was. At 6 in the evening, I parked outside her house. Emma met me at the door, in shorts and a loose blouse, hair pulled back in a ponytail. "God, what heat!" She dabbed her forehead with a tissue. "I don't know where to escape to anymore." We went up to the attic where the main air conditioning unit was located. Sweat immediately started streaming down my back. It must have been 120 degrees under the roof. "Damn," I cursed after examining the unit. "The compressor's shot. This is a serious repair." "What do we do now?" I took off my sweat-soaked shirt. "Let me at least see what I can do temporarily." Emma handed me a flashlight, and our fingers accidentally touched. A strange shiver ran through my body, which I attributed to the heat. I spent the next hour tinkering with the air conditioner's innards. Emma sat nearby on a folding chair, handing me tools and wiping sweat from my face with a cool towel. "You know," she said suddenly, "you look a lot like John when he was young, just as caring." I remained silent, pretending to focus on the work, but something stirred inside me at her words. After 2 hours of messing with the air conditioner, it became clear a quick fix wasn't possible. "Emma, we need new parts." I wiped the sweat from my face. "There's no way around it." "What should we do?" She shook her head in disappointment. "I'll go crazy in this heat." "Listen," I looked out the window at the pool glimmering in the rays of the setting sun. "Why not go for a swim? At least we'll cool off a bit." "I don't have any swim trunks for you." "I have a gym bag in my car, should have shorts in there." Emma thought for a moment. "Okay, why not? I haven't swum in a long time." We went our separate ways to change. When I returned to the pool, Emma was already there, in a dark blue one-piece swimsuit that accentuated her figure. I couldn't help but admire. For 45, she looked amazing. "The water is divine." She gracefully slid into the pool. I jumped in after her. The cool water instantly washed away the fatigue and tension. We swam, splashed like children, laughed. At one point, Emma slipped, and I instinctively caught her. Her skin was cool and slippery from the water. Our faces were dangerously close. "Thank you," she whispered, not pulling away. For several seconds, we just looked at each other. Then she slowly ran her hand across my chest. That touch took my breath away. "Emma, shh!" She pressed a finger to my lips. "Don't say anything." The next thing I remember, her lips on mine. The kiss was careful, as if tentative, and then something seemed to break loose. We kissed hungrily, desperately, forgetting everything. Her hands wandered over my body, my palms sliding along her back. I don't know how we ended up in the lounger. The setting sun painted everything around in golden hues. My head was spinning from her closeness. Emma sighed softly, responding to my touches. Reality faded, leaving only the heat of our bodies and the salty taste on our lips. Afterward, we lay silently for a long time, watching the darkening sky. Emma spoke first. "That was madness," I finished for her. "Yes." She propped herself up on her elbow, looked into my eyes. "What now?" "I don't know," I answered honestly. "Really don't know. Maybe we just forget. Pretend nothing happened?" I nodded, but we both understood forgetting this would be impossible. I returned home late. Sarah was already asleep. I stood in the shower for a long time, trying to wash away the smell of chlorinated water and the feeling of guilt. But neither would go away. The next week I avoided any contact with Emma, didn't answer calls, made up excuses when Sarah suggested visiting Mom. But deep down, I knew this couldn't last forever. Friday evening, the phone rang again. "Jack, the air conditioner completely died." Emma's voice sounded tired. "I ordered parts. They'll arrive Monday. Maybe you could help install them?" I should have refused. Instead, I heard my voice say, "Of course, I'll come at 7. Sarah won't mind. She's at a conference in Dallas until Tuesday." A pause followed. We both understood what that meant. All day I couldn't concentrate on work. At 7 in the evening, I parked at her house. My heart was beating like crazy. "Hi." Emma opened the door. She wore a light dress with thin straps. "Hi, where are the parts?" I lied, "There are no parts." We looked at each other, not moving from the spot. Then she stepped toward me, and everything repeated, only more desperately, more hungrily. This time we made it to the bedroom. Her skin smelled of summer flowers. Moonlight streaming through the window cast strange shadows on the walls. We intertwined in embraces, dissolving into each other, forgetting everything in the world. "Stay," she whispered afterward. "You know I can't." "I know, but just a little longer." I stayed. We lay in the darkness, listening to the crickets chirping outside the window. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "About how we're doing something very wrong." "Yes, but why does it feel so right?" I didn't answer. What could you say? This became the beginning of our crazy summer. We met 2 or 3 times a week when Sarah worked late or was away on business. Each time we promised ourselves it would be the last time. And each time we couldn't keep that promise. "We're playing with fire," I said once as we lay by the pool. "I know," she traced her finger across my chest. "But isn't that the whole appeal?" Sometimes we just talked. She told me about John, about how hard it was after his death. I talked about work, about my dreams. It was amazingly easy with her, as if we'd known each other all our lives. But each time, returning home to Sarah, I felt like the ultimate scoundrel. She suspected nothing, still tenderly kissed me in the mornings, shared plans for the future, and "Maybe we should stop all this?" I asked Emma at the end of July. "Maybe," she pressed against my shoulder, "but you know we can't." And she was right. We couldn't stop. Like moths flying to a flame, we continued this dangerous game, understanding that sooner or later we would face consequences. August was particularly hot. Emma and I met almost every day. Fortunately, I had the air conditioner repair excuse. At some point, I even deliberately broke the already fixed unit just to have a reason to come over. "You seem strange today," I said as we lay in her bed after another meeting. "Sarah called this morning." Emma ran her hand across my chest. "Asked if I thought you'd changed lately." I tensed. "And what did you say?" "That you're just working a lot, Jack. I think she suspects something." "What makes you think that?" "Woman's intuition, maternal intuition. She's started asking too many questions. Why you're at my place so often. Why I stopped coming to your house." We fell silent. Crickets chirped outside the window. "You know," Emma continued, "sometimes I think maybe we should tell her everything." "Are you crazy? It would kill her." "And this won't? If she finds out on her own?" I couldn't find an answer. We both understood what was happening between us couldn't last forever. The next day, Sarah came home from work earlier than usual. I had just gotten out of the shower. I'd been at Emma's again. "You smell like her perfume," my wife suddenly said. "What?" "Nothing. Must be my imagination." But I saw it wasn't imagination. A week later was Sarah's birthday. We had a barbecue in the backyard. Emma came wearing that same thin-strapped dress. I tried not to look at her, but my gaze kept returning to the curve of her neck, to her slender wrists, to her tanned legs. "Mom, you look amazing," Sarah said. "You're glowing. Is there someone new in your life?" Emma choked on her wine. "Don't be silly." "Why silly? You're a young, beautiful woman." "Let's not talk about this." That evening, after the guests left, Sarah stood by the window for a long time. "You know," she said without turning around, "I noticed how you looked at her." "At whom?" "At Mom." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really?" She turned, and I saw tears in her eyes. "Jack, what's going on?" "Nothing's going on. You're imagining things." She nodded, but I saw she didn't believe me. The next day I went to Emma's. We needed to discuss everything, make a decision. But when she opened the door, well, the conversation was postponed again. Later we lay by the pool. The sun was setting, painting the water in pink hues. "She knows," I said. "Not for certain yet, but she suspects." "What are we going to do?" "I don't know. Maybe I should leave, take a long business trip." "Run away from problems?" "Do you have better ideas?" At that moment, we heard the sound of a car pulling up. "It's Sarah. Emma whispered, jumping up from the lounger. Damn, damn, damn! I grabbed my shirt, but it was too late. The front door slammed, and a moment later Sarah walked into the backyard. She froze, looking at us, half naked, frozen like deer in headlights. So that's how it is. Her voice was frighteningly calm. Honey, this isn't... I began. Not what I think, she laughed bitterly. And what should I think, Jack? What are you doing here? Sarah, darling, Emma stepped toward her daughter. Don't come near me, Sarah recoiled. God, how could you? You're my mother. Let me explain. Explain what exactly? How long has this been going on? We were silent. What could we say? You know what? Sarah wiped away emerging tears. I've been following you, Jack, for several weeks, hoped I was wrong, that it was all my paranoia. But it turns out, I'm sorry, was all I could manage. Sorry? She shook her head. Seriously? You're cheating on me with my mother and think a simple sorry will fix something? Sarah, don't. Emma tried to intervene again. Don't what, Mom? How damn it should I react when I catch my husband with my own mother? I love him, Emma suddenly said quietly. A heavy silence hung in the air. Sarah looked at her mother as if seeing her for the first time in her life. Love him, she repeated. For how long? From the very beginning, even before your wedding. I turned sharply to Emma. This I didn't know. And that's why you were so supportive of our relationship? Sarah seemed to be talking to herself. That's why you were always on his side? God, what a fool I've been. Sarah, listen. No, you listen, she straightened up. I'm filing for divorce, and I never want to see either of you again. Never, do you understand? She turned and walked toward the house. At the door, she stopped. And you know what? You're perfect for each other. Two selfish bastards who don't care about other people's feelings. The door slammed. We heard the car start, heard the gravel crunch under the wheels. What now? I asked, watching the sunset. Nothing. Emma sat on the edge of the pool, dipping her feet in the water. Now there's nothing left. 3 months passed. The divorce went quickly. Sarah didn't demand anything except for it to be over as soon as possible. I moved to a small apartment on the other side of town. Emma and I didn't see each other anymore. After that evening, I didn't answer her calls, didn't read her messages. I knew. If I saw her again, everything would start over, and I couldn't live like that anymore. One evening, there was a knock at the door. Sarah stood on the threshold. Can I come in? I silently stepped aside. She walked into the room, looked around. You look terrible, she noted. I know. Mom does too. I remained silent. You know, Sarah sat on the edge of the couch, I've been thinking a lot, trying to understand. How could this happen? And you know what I realized? You were both unhappy. You in a marriage without passion. Her in loneliness after Dad's death. That doesn't justify. No, it doesn't, but it explains. She paused. She loves you, Jack, really loves you. And I love you. No, she smiled sadly. You think you do. Out of duty, maybe, but I saw how you look at her. You never looked at me that way. Sarah, I haven't forgiven you. She stood up. And probably never will, but life's too short to waste it on hatred. She walked to the door, turned around. She lives alone. Dad left her a nice house. Think about it. The door closed. I sat in the darkness for a long time, watching the drizzling autumn rain through the window. The next day I went to Emma's. She opened the door, gaunt, with dimmed eyes. Jack? Can I come in? We walked to the backyard. The pool was covered with a tarp. Leaves swirled in the cool air. I missed you, she said quietly. Me too. What now? I took her hand. I don't know, but let's try to start over, now without lies and pretense. She leaned against my shoulder. We stood silently for a long time, watching the fallen leaves in the empty pool. Summer was over, but maybe autumn would bring something new. A year has passed. Emma and I live together in her house. Sarah moved to California, got married. Sometimes she sends Christmas cards to both families, but different ones. The air conditioner was never fixed. Now, on hot days, we just go to the pool. And every time looking at the sun's reflections on the water, I think about that crazy summer that changed all our lives. They say everyone has their own path to happiness. Sometimes it goes through pain and loss, sometimes through mistakes and betrayal, but the main thing is to find the courage to follow it to the end. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.